Planning a wedding can be one of the most exciting times in a couple's life. That is until they tell other people. It gets to be a little much. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Jamie Wolfer. I'm your online wedding planner. I've been planning weddings for about a decade now, and every single week we cover wedding planning topics because this is literally what I do. So you might have just heard a baby goat. It's not a child. It's a goat kid, not an actual kid. So if you are in the throes of wedding planning or just like the wedding planning subject in general, you should jump on down there and hit subscribe while you're here before we get started into this. Now, this subject is not something I've shied away from here on this channel. The topic of like boundaries with family members and loved ones. When you start planning a wedding, all of a sudden opinions start coming out of the woodwork and the people you know start to act a little crazy. And you start thinking, is it me? Have they always acted this way? I don't understand. Why is there tension? Why do my parents suddenly have an opinion on the guest list and the colors and the food and what we're serving? And I wasn't prepared for any of this. And your fiance is looking at you like, neither was I. And now all of a sudden you have 100 people's opinions to contend with that literally were non-existent a week ago. Now in this video, we're going to break it down into manageable steps, okay? 1, creating a plan. Pretty simple. 2, setting boundaries. 3, managing guest expectations. And 4, sticking to your vision. It's only 4 things. That must mean it's easy, right? Right. So without further ado, let's just jump right on into it. Now, I am a huge fan of having a wedding plan, a wedding vision, if you will, right? That's why the second module in the master plan, as opposed to like, let's get started, is talking about priorities with your fiance. What is important to the two of you on your wedding day? In fact, I have an entire list of I don't even know how many wedding planning items are included on this that you're supposed to use as like a speed test. Figure out what's important to you on a scale from like 1 to 5. Is it 1 to 5 or is it 0? It's 1 to 5. It's 1 to 5. I know my products. It's fine. But what this test does is it helps you and your fiance to figure out what is important to you, where you want to spend a lot of your energy, a lot of your time, and or a lot of your money to make this particular thing happen. That could be investing in a good photographer. That could be, if y'all are foodies, making sure you have a really good dinner plan or some late night bites. Or if you are big on having a really fun dance-filled party, you're going to want to spend a lot of time and or money finding the right DJ for you. But what you're going to find out real quick is if you don't do this base level, you're going to realize that you and your fiance and the people around you are going to make a lot of assumptions when it comes to your wedding, how you're planning it, what you're spending, what your color should be, what your guest list should be, how long your guest list should be. And that's because the people in your life have a vision for your wedding as well. And sometimes people in your life just get a little too excited. We'll use that word. Use it loosely. So in order to make sure you and your fiance are on the same page, you need to have a priorities date. You need to have a vision date. Even if it's not the decor vision, if your fiance's not into that, my husband was most certainly not. He's like, I don't really care. Sure, sounds good. What are we eating? Okay. What's for dessert? Okay, I'm good. Oh, can we have IPAs? Great. So when it came to vision overall, that conversation for us looked a lot like what's our budget, what's our guest list, and what are the general priorities for us on our wedding day. Now, I'll be the first to say that we didn't have the full priorities talk the way that I encourage couples to have the priorities talk now. So this is one of those do as I say, not as I do type scenarios, okay? I've learned a lot since. But the 2 most important things I need you to focus on when you are having this vision meeting is your budget and your guest list, okay? Even if you don't talk decor, even if you don't talk dinner or dessert or any of those other items, I need you to make sure that you have covered your budget and your guest list. And remember, budget, the number versus budget, the breakdown are 2 very different things, okay? So you can have your overall number, here's what we will not go past, but unless you tell that money what to do, it's going to get pretty dicey out there for you. So we need to have a budget as in the whole number and a breakdown of what that money's going to do. If that sounds overwhelming, come check out the master plan. I help you break down your budget. I have a full spreadsheet on how to do it and I make it as foolproof as possible. And then guest list boundaries. Are you inviting every single cousin? Are second cousins invited? Is it only people you've talked to within the last 6 months? You can come up with whatever guest list rules suit you and your fiance, your pocketbook, and sometimes even your culture, depending on what is expected of you. And these 2 items kind of go hand in hand. You can either let your guest list dictate your budget or your budget dictate your guest list, but mark my words, there will be a direct correlation between the 2. Are you going to add +1s? Can someone bring an extra family member at the last minute? Is things like location, decor, etc. Those are the more detailed end of things, but basically the first part of the vision chat is how are we as a unit handling this? Number 2, setting clear boundaries early. Some of you might already know exactly who you need to have this conversation with. You're like, bet, that's my mom. That's my mom. She struggles with boundaries, okay? She doesn't know what they are. That's a B word to her. So she oversteps like crazy. And others of you might not have any expectations of your family doing anything like this or your friends. And you're like, nah, I'm good. They're good. They're not going to do anything. We should be fine. From your lips to God's ears. I hope that that's the experience that you have. But here's what I see happen so many times is I see couples want to rely on societal norms or expected behaviors as the moral compass for all of their friends and family, and then find themselves in a bit of a pickle when the people around them don't follow those rules or those expectations. Now, whether it's willful neglect of a family member to not follow these expectations, or simply forgetfulness or ignorance because they forgot how weddings work, or they've never been to one, or they're not aware of how they work currently because they were different 30 years ago, there may very likely be a scenario where you have to explain modern day wedding etiquette and expectations. My guess is a good majority of you Googled, when am I supposed to send out my wedding invites, right? How early can I request RSVPs? Or save the dates necessary? These are all wedding etiquette items that you were not aware of the etiquette of them until you looked them up, right? Same could be said for a lot of family members and friends. Now, we're not talking about the really big, egregious situations. I just want to add a little bit of levity to this to kind of like manage expectations of family members and friends in our circles around us. And it doesn't even have to be etiquette. It could be things like who's paying for the wedding and what do they get a say on? Take this bride, for example. Controlling parents of wedding. Hi all, so I'm getting married on Valentine's Day 2025. Well, that has since passed. I hope it went well. My parents have offered to pay for most of the wedding, but I just learned that they will be coming to our food tasting. I'm not okay with that. It's our special day and we want these things to be together. Okay? My fiance is not happy with this and wants us to pay it ourselves as they're inviting people we don't know, interfering with our special wedding arrangements, and all because they say they are paying. Ooh. He thinks it's ridiculous and unfair due to us having to move forward a year due to my dad's condition. Oh, we've got more than just etiquette and emotions here. We got a condition. They're controlling everything despite saying it's our wedding. I feel absolutely awful and my partner wants to move the date. I really don't know what to do. I have no support. This is a real life bride, a real life example of running into struggles with setting boundaries with family members. Here's the deal. Oftentimes, if someone is gifting money, there is an expectation that comes with it. I think a conversation and boundaries still need to be placed in these kinds of situations, right? We will accept your money. We still want to commit to this vision. Can we share it with you and see if that's something you support? I know there are the people out there that say it's not their day. They can pay, but they don't get any say whatsoever. I am not personally fully in that camp, but I respect you. I see where you're coming from. I just politely disagree. But this is a perfect scenario where the couple needs to figure out what their boundaries are going to be. They already have a vision of what they want their wedding day to be. And it sounds like her parents are really getting in there and making a lot of big, bold decisions that the couple doesn't want. And this poor bride is stuck between a rock and a hard place, right? Because she's got, the long relationship with her parents, probably feeling some sort of indebtedness to them. Her father's got a condition. We don't know what that is. And then her fiance is like, no, we're moving the entire date, right? We're not playing this game anymore. We're moving it completely. This is more of like an everyone stinks here kind of vibe. Okay, because I don't think the fiance should be saying that. I think we can maintain the date that you moved up because of his condition. I'm assuming it's because you want him to be there and there may be a chance that he won't be should you move it up. So that feels like too big of a move. But what do boundaries look like in a situation like this? If this was you and your parents, what would you do in this scenario? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, I'll leave a link to the entire Reddit thread if you want to dive into the comments on that. But there is a perfect real life example of boundaries being crossed. And unfortunately, in my opinion, they're going to keep being crossed until you have a sit down, firm, but kind conversation with them. Let them know what your hopes and expectations and your priorities are for the big day. Remember, you already had this meeting with your fiance, so you know what they are, and now you're just kind of delivering factoids, right? Here's what we would love to focus on. Here are the most important things for us. Here's what we're feeling when you make those decisions, and this part gets a little difficult for some people, right? We feel as though we don't really have a lot of a say in our event. And in fact, we're seriously contemplating paying for it ourselves because we feel like a lot of our vision is getting compromised. And that could be on us because we didn't share the full vision with you earlier. Or it could be that you are just choosing to go a different route. And that's not going to work for us for our wedding. So if this is a vision you support and you would like to fund, we would be glad to have that conversation. If this is not a vision that you support or you want to make some adjustments to it, we can also have that conversation as well. But these are key points that we are not going to back down from. And if we can't find some sort of compromise or some sort of way to meet these few points that we want, then we're going to go ahead and just pay for the event ourselves because we value this relationship more than we need your money. Okay? We want to remove this conflict. At least for us, we want to protect our peace. We want to have the event we want. We don't want to keep this tension going. And we feel like the best way to do that would be for us to cover it ourselves. Number 3, managing expectations for the guests, for your attendees. Usually this falls into like plus ones and like adding people because people are something else. okay? Listen to this. My fiance and I are getting married in a few weeks. Oh, this was posted 2 hours ago. Oh, this is fresh, Reddit. We are having a formal reception in a 5-star hotel located in our hometown. Cute. We couldn't have picked a more beautiful venue for everyone to celebrate our wedding. Since it's a plated dinner, we only paid up to 120 people. In the past few months, I'm just floored on how many of my own family and friends have asked me to invite other people that we don't know. For example, my maid of honor asked if her mom and 2 daughters could come. Sure can't. Sorry, Barb. One is a hot mess express, pregnant teen, and brings crazy drama. I said absolutely not. She has been pouting about it for weeks now. Okay. I'm over it, and things have been weird between us, but too bad. Okay, well, I mean, it is your wedding day. But it also depends on how you handled it, right? Because it's your day, it's your way, only gets you so far if you're being snotty about it. It doesn't sound like you are. I'm just hedging that. Just pinch of salt. Then my future husband has extended family that are calling asking, is so-and-so invited? We don't know them. We don't know them. It's just a bunch of Midwestern boomer gossip gals that only want to come so they can get a free meal and judge. Oh, I think she has them pegged. My own mom did this at Easter yesterday. She cornered me and asked if some old lady from the assisted living center she works at could come with her adult son because she's always wanted to go to a wedding there. I'm like, no! For fudge's sake, we're at capacity. What the heck is happening here? Is it my people? Are we trashy? No, this is quite common. This is super real big common and super real big annoying, and I'm real sorry. So what do you do in a scenario like this where people are kind of coming at you from all sides asking for more +1s? Well, firstly, you're going to want to make sure that you are negating some of this by properly addressing your invitation envelope, okay? So let's say you're about to send me an invitation, which you totally can. I have a P.O. box where I receive invitations. I'll leave it linked down below. I love them so much. I have a scrapbook that I put a lot of them into. I'm not extra. I'm not extra. You are. Okay. But let's say, for example, you were sending it to me. You could say, Mrs. Jamie Wolfer. That would tell me it's just me that's invited. Let's say it's my husband and I. Mr. and Mrs. Wolfer could work. Mr. and Mrs. Elias and Jamie Wolfer could work. Or Elias and Jamie Wolfer. Great. Drop the Mr. and Mrs. If you don't want to get that fancy or you don't have enough room, who cares? Okay. I know some people might care. I don't care. Okay. I don't care. Now, let's say you're feeling adventurous. Okay. And you're thinking my 4 kids would just really jazz up that dance floor, which they would. They can cut a rug. Okay. They know how to bring the party, all right? So the outside of that envelope would say the Wolfer family. Notice how we made it real clear. No questions. No questions on the outside of who's being invited. And if you want to get into the real nitty gritty of, if you got real specific or someone's a doctor, or you want to invite one of their kids who lives at home, I don't know. Let's say it gets real specific like that. Then might I recommend Googling it or looking it up on Pinterest because I'm not going to list all of them off right now. But you'll find it. You'll find the right way of writing that. Secondly, tell them how many RSVPs they have. And that could be an additional RSVP card that's included in your invitation suite, or it could be communicated through your online RSVP system. But what you want to do is you need to tell them how many seats have been reserved in their honor. If you say the Wolfer family, my hope is that there's going to be some sort of insert or some sort of indication on your website that shows us that we are allowed to have 6 people. You're also going to want to communicate things like dress code. If you don't want to do it in your invitation, you don't have to. You could put it on your website. But we want to make sure that the guests are getting as much information as possible so there isn't this follow-up question later. However, there's still going to be those people who follow up later anyways, right? We know those. Those people that have the gift of ask, where they're just going to ask regardless, and you're like, okay, thanks so much. Here's what you do then. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we made it really clear on the invitation. It says Elias and Jamie on the front. My bad. Or we have 2 seats reserved in your honor. As much as we love the kids, we are having a child-free event, if you want to say that, or look up more gentle language if you feel like it. Or we were hoping we can give you guys a date night. So yes, it is just you 2. Because here's where the rubber meets the road. You could put as much information out there as possible. You could say, I'm so sorry, no +1s to anyone who asks. But you still have to put up and maintain that boundary when it's being pushed back. And inevitably, there's going to be somebody who says something along the lines of, well, it's just one person. Why can't you just add in one person? Or it's this pushback of, oh, no, you know this person. I just started dating them a month ago. You met them at drinks last Friday. I mean, admittedly, a lot of us were a little, but you saw them. You saw them so they could come. This is where I lean on venue headcount, right? catering headcount and or finances to really back you up. You can go with preference. We just don't want to. It's going to be a no for us. If that's the route that you want to take, I'm not encouraging you to be dishonest, okay? But you can kind of refer back to those few that I listed. Our venue already has our headcount. We don't have room to add anybody else on, unfortunately, as it is, because we've rented the chairs, the tables, etc. There's no additional space. Or we've already given our headcount to the caterer. Unfortunately, we can't add anybody onto that. We're within the time frame that's not allowed. Or financially, each guest costs us about $150, and we're at capacity for the amount of guests that we can host. Or, the venue capacity. We are only allowed to have this many people. Of course, don't lie and use those as your reasoning if it's not actually your reasoning. But those are really good external reasons that someone really has a hard time arguing against. Now, of course, if you're just choosing to keep it smaller, you don't want that person to come, you can politely say, I am so excited that you're excited about our event and you want more people to experience it. We will not be expanding the guest list at this time, especially for people we don't know, especially for people outside of our immediate circle, especially for insert the blank here. Again, looking forward to celebrating with you on our wedding day, and can't wait to see you on the dance floor. That's what we call a compliment sandwich. Sweet words. Not gonna happen. Sweet words. It's all fun and games when we're first getting started and planning out that vision. It gets a lot harder when everyone's opinions and pushback start to really impede on your wedding planning process. And this is that same scenario where the rubber meets the road and really having to stick to that vision, or at least having an open dialogue with your fiance on any compromises you're willing to make with all of these external pressures. Are you going to make them? Should we do it? Should we not do it? What are we supposed to do here? Returning back to your core unit, because once you become engaged with intent to be married, that becomes now your immediate family. That is your partner forever and ever, amen. So we want to make sure that that connection and those conversations have a very important place in this planning process. Maintaining your vision when you get a lot of pushback is really difficult. Take this bride, for example. My fall 2025 wedding is planned and all deposits are in for everything. Yes, girl, congratulations. I have a strained relationship with my narcissist mom and I've included her in everything in hopes this would bring us closer. Oh no, oh, I'm so sorry. This week, she texted me frantically. My brother has a college theater performance on our wedding day that he cannot miss, and she has to attend with him. Okay? She immediately asks me to reschedule my entire wedding by a week or two to make up for this conflict. I am so in shock and used to being pummeled by her and people-pleasing as a survival mechanism. At first, I try to reconcile and say we can figure it out. I mean, this has been her entire life. I'll figure it out. Sure, Mom, I'll see what I can do. Not a big deal. I quickly realized, in fact, I cannot get back thousands of dollars and reschedule with all of my guests and vendors. As of right now, she and my brother will not be attending, and it's somehow my fault. I'm at a loss. I absolutely cannot reschedule, and now this will hang over me as another reason for her to be difficult for the rest of my life. Planning my wedding has simply emphasized all the toxic things about my family relationships and made it a terrible experience. Sometimes we think sticking to the vision means like, no, I'm not changing it to that color that you really like, Mom, or no, I'm not adding on to the guest list, or no, we're not going with your uncle's best friend's godson's catering service. Thank you so much. We think it can be that, but sometimes it can be really deep and really personal and really hurtful. Like a mother of the bride saying, can you change your entire event for your brother's college performance? Can you switch all of it? And this is so much more difficult than just maintaining a color palette. This is relational and this is deep and this can be fracturing. And this is why I think leaning on your fiance and having conversations with your fiance right now is super important. This is also why I'm a huge advocate of premarital counseling, if that's something that you're into, because these will be conflicts that either you've never experienced or you've experienced your entire life and are now culminating in a really, really painful and difficult way because it has to do with your wedding. So this would be a really great option. This would be a really great time to seek therapy, either for yourselves, either just for yourself or for both of you as a couple, as you're navigating these experiences that you two have not likely navigated together before. So if you make a plan and stick to it, set boundaries with those pesky family members, and clearly manage expectations for your entire guest list, and maintain that vision, maintain that connection with your fiance throughout this planning process. I can't promise it's going to be astronomically easier, especially if there's someone in your life that's making it astronomically difficult. But I can promise you, if you implement this as best as possible, there's a chance that you're going to feel a lot more grounded about your decision making moving forward. So that's what we have for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you would like a blueprint for how to plan your wedding as stress-free as possible, I highly recommend you come join me in the master plan. There's a reason I created it. I think wedding planning is really simple. The act of planning an event, boom, easy peasy lemon squeezy. It's the expectations, the emotions, and the finances, etiquette, all the E-words that really get in the way of that. So if you are looking for a foolproof way to plan your event, I highly recommend checking out the master plan. If you like the video, jump on down there, like the video, and subscribe to this channel for more tips and tricks for the modern day bride. And until next week, bye guys.